Hello and welcome to Admit One, your regular movie and TV podcast right here on Rabbit Hole Media. He is one of your hosts, Jack Netley Thompson, and he is joined today by the one Kristian Lasham. How are you, Kristian? I'm very well. How about you, Jack?
Pass.
Jack is feeling a little under the weather after he was stabbed ferociously by a man with a needle. So I'm taking over the obnoxious loud bit for this week's episode.
He is using all energy exerting bits because it's the energy I don't have.
And this is probably the most energetic Jack's been all evening, and he's been here for about an hour. I even tried to give him a bag of Funyuns and he didn't want them. If that doesn't tell you that there's something not quite right with our dear Jackie boy, then I don't know what does. This is Admit One, your regular movie and TV podcast right here on Rabbit Hole Media. If you like what you're doing or what you're doing is watching us, you can follow us on Twitter at rabbithole_UK. You can subscribe to us on YouTube where you can see us anytime that you wish. You can follow us on Twitch at Rabbit Hole Media. And you can subscribe and follow on multiple different podcast services on and around the internet.
Indeed.
And now you can follow us on Instagram at rabbitholemedia_UK for all of the behind the scenes tits and bits. If you would like to support us, you can head to merch.rabbitholemedia.co.uk where you can buy a wide range of merchandise, which recently got wider. And finally, if you're watching us live on Twitch and are an Amazon Prime member, you get one free Twitch Prime membership a month. Please find it within your hearts to give that free membership to us. It will not cost you a penny, but will go a very long way in helping us bring you the shows you love.
I'm sorry to disappoint, but I don't think I could do the please.
It's okay. That's okay. This week we are talking about Mission Impossible. Do you want me to hand this back over to you for now?
I can talk, yes. Thank you, Rich. Much love. I shall use that kiss to heal. We are here talking about Mission Impossible, a movie from 1996.
It's the same age as my sister.
Same age as my sister as well.
Weird. I mean, more than one person was born that year, I realise.
Oh, we were born in the same year as well, so statistically.
Parents got busy at the same times.
Depends on the month.
True.
June.
That would be very weird, wouldn't it?
Well, you're January and I'm June, so.
That's correct.
So,
When's your sister born?
June.
Oh, there's a pattern there.
The elder sister was October,
Okay.
birthday. So.
I was going to say, was it like
if
your
it was
dad's
also
birthday
June.
9 months before or something?
No, because he's January.
Oh, okay.
Right, we're talking about Mission Impossible. This is one of those franchises that it's a common theme in all the franchises I really like. The MCU, Fast and Furious, Mission Impossible. They all start off very quaint.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we're making movies. We're going to make some action movie and it's going to be a good time. And then by the end of it, we're going to summon turtles from the moons of Neptune to create tortillas that can fry an onion. Like, they get mad is what I'm trying to say. So I'm interested to hear everyone's thoughts as these movies go along, because this one is, they escalate. That was a much more concise way of putting it.
It's not as entertaining, though.
No, it's true. That's true. But this one in particular is rather quaint, and I often forget with all of these franchises how quaint the initial franchise entry is, especially because this is somewhat more unlike the other franchises I've just mentioned, because the sequels take so long to come out. This obviously started 12 years before the MCU, yet there's still only 6.
Yeah.
So there's a long gap between a lot of these movies, particularly 3 and 4. Or maybe this one and 2, actually. I don't know.
We'll find out next week.
That is true.
Yeah, he did not do that. Tom Cruise did not fire a single gun in this film. Logical Robert says, all the more impressive considering it started out as a De Palma flick. De Palma. I feel like it's De Palma.
I don't know what that means.
No, I don't know what that means. I haven't seen Mission Impossible before.
No,
This is my first ever viewing of Mission Impossible.
Which is why I'm excited to get into this conversation with you. Also, just worth mentioning, it did also start out as a series. I can't remember when that came out. Long before our births, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it was based on. The director. I see. That makes sense. But what are your general thoughts of Mission Impossible?
My general thoughts were this film was distinctly fine. That's my general thoughts.
I think, as a first-time viewing, 2021, watching a film from 1996 that is, or from the 1990s, an action film from the 1990s that isn't The Matrix, that is a fair assessment.
Yeah, and I feel like I always have to be clear when I'm a bit like this. I don't mean that in a bad way in any sense whatsoever. I think it very, very heavily shows its time and shows its age. It felt so 90s watching it.
Any movie that uses a lot of technology will
will
always show its time, unless it's the MCU that invented hologram computers in 2008. But this in particular, they're very old school Apple Watch and the TV on the plane.
And
this big
the nature of the hallway design and stuff when they're in the fucking place where he's getting the list and all that kind of stuff. Just big, bright, white, artificial hallways and stuff. But none of those are bad things. It just stood out. I'd say for the first time watching it in 2021, when it's a film from 1996, it's just like, whoa, okay. It felt so 90s, and it reminded me of a lot of 90s things, and even down to the fact, John Voight being cast in it and all that kind of stuff. It's just a very 90s action film.
I can never remember the French guy, but he's particularly 90s.
Yeah, and again,
I can never remember his name.
So many things from that era. I was thinking that watching it.
Leon the Professional and all sorts of stuff. Ronin, I think, is it Ronin?
Possibly.
With Robert De Niro, I think.
But yeah, it was enjoyable. The only complaint I'd actually have, and the actual complaint, and I also appreciate this could be me, because I was finding myself getting distracted watching it, which is kind of part of the complaint. I was finding it hard to concentrate on it, meaning for the most part, and even now, I was not following what the fuck was going on. And I'm sure it's probably quite simple to follow, but I just didn't. I only watched it this morning, and there were so many points I was like, wait, what? So he is dead? No, he's not dead. I don't understand. Oh, this is a dream okay, what? It was partly a case of being distracted by other things. People were messaging me and other stuff, and Discord was busy. But I was just kind of not quite following. So the only complaint I have, but I appreciate that might not necessarily be the film's fault.
Yeah, to be fair, this is one of the simpler ones.
I think it's because there was just a lot of covert stuff, and a lot of it was presented in a way of like, a lot of it you don't figure out until it's revealed. Like Tom Cruise is ahead of the game. Ethan Hunt is figuring things out that we don't know ourselves.
Yeah, they imply it and they leave the breadcrumb there for you to figure out if you can, but it's not explicitly told to you until later.
And there are things where there are some scenarios where like he's being told something, but he's working out that what he's being told isn't true and stuff like that. And it was just kind of, it was clever, but it was just kind of throwing me a little bit because I was missing bits and bobs. So there was bits where I was just like, hang on, wait, what? Oh, okay. And then trying to pick up the pieces. Hannah says, if you have problems with this one, you're going to be baffled by the more convoluted ones later on. Probably. But as I say, I was distracted whilst watching it. I wasn't giving it my full attention because I just kept getting messages to things and the doorbell rang, something else going on. So because I wasn't able to sit down and watch it, it just kind of broke things up and it's hard to concentrate.
I think for 2, you can kind of leave that system in place because you might be distracted, but also it's for the best. For anyone who's seen the Mission Impossible movies can fully agree. We don't need to worry about Mission Impossible. We'll do it for the sake of history and documentation. The rest of them, I would be like, put your phone in the fridge. Just leave it there. Maybe not the fridge. I can't.
It was good. I enjoyed it. It did a lot of things as well, which this is where my knowledge is going to let me down. But there were things it did which kind of now are kind of like spy movie and action movie cliches, but probably at the time were not. Might have been like some of the first films to do some of these things, which I now see as cliches. But obviously it felt like it's hard to disconnect from that
Mm-hmm.
when you're watching it and already see it as a cliche because it's quite cheesy in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a strange thing for me to disconnect from. But I thought it did a lot of stuff really well. There was some really nice cinematography work. The action sequences were done very well and were thrilling. The spy sequences, like the actual covert sequences where they're doing sneakiness and stuff, was interesting and clever, and I liked the way they presented it. The theme tune is fantastic. I mean, I know this anyway, but it's a very good theme tune.
It is a very good
It's
theme
very
tune.
good theme
I believe the theme tune was pretty much adapted from the series.
It
I'm
is.
pretty sure it was from the series as
I
well.
looked into that mainly because I saw on the opening credits that it said music by Danny Elfman, which I was surprised by, but then based off original composition by so and so, and I thought that's weird, and then looked into it, and yeah, it was
From the
basically
series.
composition from the series has then been adapted for the films. Fine. And again, the strange thing with the music, it wasn't until really, because I've heard the theme tune before, but I've never like paid attention to it. It's a very famous theme tune, and it's been adapted in so many ways for different pieces of music. The Limp Bizkit song and stuff.
Yep.
But I've never really like properly paid attention to its use in the movie. But then I was noticing how that was like, oh, this piece of music sounds a lot like the Incredibles music. No, the Incredibles music sounds a lot like this.
Mission Impossible, yeah.
It's like kind of putting it all together. Like, it's just a weird thing of watching it out of order in a strange way. But I enjoyed it, but it's not one I'm going to be like raving to watch again in any way.
No, that's fair enough. I think it is one of, not in a bad way, but one of the least good ones.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just because I think they get better, essentially, over time. So it's like this one, mad dip in quality, and then just better. This is also one, obviously, that ages the most, largely because it was done in the 90s, but also largely because this may be two, but particularly this one is the only time Tom Cruise wasn't trying to kill himself in some dramatic fashion for the movies.
Oh, I see. In terms of like stunts
Stunts
and,
and
stuff like that, yeah.
all the ridiculous things. I believe he's seen number 6.
So Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout. is the
Number
only one I've seen,
6, yes.
which I watched fairly recently for no other reason than I got a 4K Blu-ray player, and my dad had that on 4K Blu-ray already. And I wanted to watch a 4K Blu-ray. I was like, I'll borrow that and watch that one.
That's fair. Oh, that's true. They get progressively
That's
more
Simon
Simon Pegg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I would never a bad thing, I'd argue. The most Logical Robot says the most perplexing thing about this movie is Tom's ever-altering hairstyle. Oh, these movies, yes. They tend to take it in turns, at least for the first few, take it in turns whether he's got short hair or long hair.
Yeah, you can change hairstyle.
You can, but it's just quite funny that it's short, long, short. But yeah, no, I like this movie. There's a scene in particular that I like, but obviously this one ages the most because of all the CG and stuff. But whereas in the next ones, the stunts get increasingly more ridiculous, and obviously we'll talk about which ones were the stunts.
Not when it's scene to scene.
Is it scene to scene? I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice anything major. Maybe.
No.
Hannah says he still did his own stunts, just they became more outlandish and
Yeah,
dangerous.
but I mean, like the big set pieces are still pretty much entirely CGI, other than one. Like the thing at the end is obviously entirely CGI. Whereas I imagine if you remade this movie now, spoilers, I suppose, Tom Cruise would fly a helicopter through a tunnel.
I'm going to do spoiler timer then. 14 minutes. Also, I want to ask. I want to keep a thing of this. I saw in the Discord that Hannah was making a face rip-off tally.
Yes.
So I feel like we need to keep track of this. So Hannah, if you could please disclose the amount of face rip-offs in this film. I'm going to put a time code in for it and everything. 1440 of face rip-offs. So we can get that down, and we're going to keep a tally of that as this goes on, I think.
That's fair. I think we should establish rules.
Okay, go on. 3 face rip-offs.
Are we counting face rip-offs that happen, the same scenario that happens more than once in a movie?
I think so. The fact that they're showing it multiple times.
That's pretty much the only rule I wanted to clarify, because I can't remember which one it is, and I can't remember if it actually happens. But there's you see the scenario happen, but then somebody else, like later in the movie, they're either explaining it or it's a flashback to that moment again. So you see the same face rip off twice. Does that count as two separate? Obviously, you have the argument of they're showing it twice. Or, yeah, they're explaining the plan and show it playing out while they're explaining the plan. And then they do
Hannah's saying that doesn't count.
But then, no, that doesn't.
But then Hannah's in charge of the tally, so I'm going to trust her judgment.
That's absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So, however she feels it's necessary to include it, trust her.
Absolutely. In you we trust. In you we trust.
Indeed. So for win spoilers, I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to me what the fuck happened in the film, please?
Yeah, so they all go on a mission.
Yep, got that bit. Folks, I now have to watch MI2.
Correct, I apologise. Or Google it. I'm sure someone has the answer on Google. I can remember at least two. They all go on a mission.
Yep.
Lots of them die, other than Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Other MIF man explains IMF that...
At the fish restaurant.
Basically accuses him of being the mole. He goes on the run.
Yep.
But not before jumping away from
the fish.
The fish.
Yeah.
That start to attack. This is a fish movie. This is all for the knock list, by the way. A list of all active agents and where they're stationed and this, that, and the other. Very dangerous stuff. He finds out that the disc they stole was not the real disc.
Yep. So the IMF people are then chasing him because they think he's the mole.
They think he's the mole.
Yep.
I think he has but obviously no, it's not the list. La-da.
And then he's trying to figure out who the real mole is.
He's trying to figure out who the real mole is. For that, he wants to get to Job.
Yep.
For which he uses Max.
Yep.
Pretends to be on their side.
So Job is the code or the alias for the mole.
Job is the alias for the mole. And then Max is obviously the fence, as it were. To get the knock list, he shows himself, explains that it's not real. Mm-hmm. Basically, earns their trust by letting them know that it's a fake list. Why you'd have left it?
Hannah says, I was also wondering why you'd have left the knock list at the ambassador's reception if you knew someone was going to steal it.
Who knows? Gains her trust. Puts together his own team, one that gets less murdered at this point anyway, to steal the actual list, presenting the best scene of the movie, and then goes to sell her the list to get the money to try and meet Job, and finds out that it was actually his old boss that was the mole, and blows him up with some bubblegum.
Who faked his own death.
And killed all of the team. He was the one doing it the whole time.
So the bit that I was confused by, because I followed all that, but where I'd got myself lost. So the guy that was from the IMF, it was implied in the fish restaurant conversation that he killed the team.
I think it's meant to mislead you, yeah.
But he didn't kill the team.
No. John Voight did.
He did think Tom Cruise was the mole.
Yeah.
So if he was saying...
It's implied that...
So what I can't understand is why was he not going, who killed your team?
Well, because he thought Tom Cruise did it.
He thought Tom Cruise killed the team.
Because he was the only survivor.
I see. And then by the end of it... So then when they're on the train at the end, the TGV, been on one of those, and John Voight comes back... it's revealed that Tom Cruise had already worked it all out. Mm-hmm. So did the other IMF man know at this point? Or
no, I think that's what the glasses were for.
The glasses showed him that he was alive, which then he worked it out, and then, okay, fine, getting it. I'm getting it.
Daddy Jolie, a.k.a. John Voight, yes. Oh, Logical Robot, I just want to know what the fuck happened to Emmanuelle Bert's beautiful face. She was insanely hot, if constantly unintelligible in this movie. Who? John Voight's wife?
Claire. Yeah. There's Emmanuel, but
she was one of those 90s action movie characters where it's there to give the main protagonist someone to court, as it were, for a first movie, and for your hero. Imminently widowed is an interesting choice of female interest, love interest.
Why didn't you just Wikipedia the plot? The reason I didn't just Wikipedia the plot is I knew I was doing this, and Jack is my Wikipedia.
Fair.
Yeah, if I Wikipedia the plot, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation on this.
It's true. This is one of the most straightforward ones.
As I say, I feel
you
like
were just
it was
distracted.
it was a few bits that I just kind of like confused me, and it was because partly distracted, and I'm not sure what's happening. Most of it I did follow, to be fair, but there's a few bits kind of like, wait, so was he the bad guy? Tell me about your favourite scene.
Oh, what a scene. This is the scene where they're actually stealing the knock list. This is the one like everyone refers to, like every Mission Impossible movie has that bit, and this one is this bit is the super silent bit.
So this is one of the things that I now see as a cliche.
That's fair.
But I assume it was one of the first.
To be fair, I can't think of another use of it though.
I think it's done in parody quite a lot, so it's become.
What, are we parodying this?
Yeah, parodying this. So it's then kind of become a cliche in that sense. Like I've seen it. It's such a just. How do you steal something out of a room? You drop down from the top.
Oh, yeah, they're dropping down from the top, but they're having to be completely silent, and the temperature, and they can't touch anything.
It's very clever.
It's very, and as you say, I understand that it's obviously very difficult to separate it being cliche from the thing that is cliched off if you've never seen it before. Absolutely. But I just love this scene.
No, it's very
I love
good.
I'm going to quickly let go of you, murder a rat, catch you again. The risk was not worth the reward there. I think you could have just waited for it to get to your feet and done a bit of
kicking. Yeah.
Done a bit of kicking. I'm sure it doesn't take much to send a rat to the great beyond.
Yeah. So I like.
It was being very loud. I think that was the point they were.
I liked the decoy they set up. The way they got rid of the guy was just to poison him with something that made him vomit continuously.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the cliche now as well, and that you just get rid of him by. He could have stabbed the rat with a knife. Yes, he could have. He still had to let go to do that. But
if he had stabbed the rat with the knife, he wouldn't have been able to have dropped the knife.
For a very tense moment of. Logical Robot says, quick trivia story. Cruz kept slamming his face into the scenery so the counterweight his body crew members put pound coins in his shoes.
Nice. I like little bits of trivia like that. How many pound coins do you reckon that must have taken?
For a counterweight? That must have been a lot. Because your top half is much heavier than your bottom half.
Yeah.
Speak
for yourself, Jack.
He's here trying to make penis jokes.
See, now I liked. I sort of liked the scenes where they were explaining the plan. I quite liked that as well, the way that was done, and I liked the scene with one of the early infiltration scenes when they were first infiltrating, getting the first list. And they were infiltrating the ambassadors thing. Like, I thought that was all done very well with seeing them all work together and the way they communicate and stuff.
That was a very good scene. There was a very good scene. One random thing that I quite like is obviously in this one they didn't quite have the technology to do it any other way. So the masks, other than at the very end, was just him putting on a mask to look like Tom Cruise in prosthetics.
Yes.
So it's him putting on makeup to look like himself in makeup. I was just like, I suppose that's one way to do it. Mm-hmm. Other than at the end, obviously, where there's a convenient, I'm going to wear a mask and you'll believe I'm someone who's over a foot taller than me.
He was sat down.
Exactly, so even smaller.
But that was good, and I thought that opening scene, you know, when they're introducing you to what is the first team before it kills them all off, I thought that was a very good bit of filmmaking, because it shows you for a while at least a very competent team. It shows you them going through and doing their job very, very well, and okay, this is the real deal, and it kind of puts you into a false sense of security of this is what this film's going to be about. It's going to be about this really good spec ops team, or whatever you want to call them, team going through, and
Hannah's put him as the senator was way less of a transformation than him as Les Grossman. It is amazing. Have you seen Tropic Thunder?
yes.
You know, the balding...
Yes.
Yes, okay, fine.
Yes,
You
yeah,
just
I
didn't
was-
react, so you seemed confused.
I was trying to place the name. I was like, Les Grossman. Tropic Thunder. I get it.
It took me a very long time to realise that was Tom Cruise when I first saw that
Really?
movie. Yeah.
His doesn't he do a dance to Milkshake at the end or something like that?
Apple bottom jeans.
Apple bottom jeans. It is apple bottom jeans.
Well, low,
Apple
but yeah.
bottom jeans. Yes, it kind of sits you into a false sense of security. Right, this is going to be this film about watching this very competent team, and then when it starts killing them all, it's just kind of like, oh shit! Like I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know what the plot of this film was.
Can I also just say that what constitutes for an age rating changes all the time, but I still don't think we're back at the point where you can watch a man get part of an elevator system, a lift system, through the face in a 12.
I mean, cut away from it on the cut I was watching.
It goes in a little bit and then cuts away. Like you don't see it fully
Yeah.
impaled, but it's still enough.
It's enough, and there's a nice crunching, squishy sound.
Yes. But then again, I'm just like watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, and I'm just like, you can get away with a lot more on TV.
Yeah.
It seems because like dismemberments and decapitations, like full on bullet holes through the face. I'm just like, good lord, this is a Marvel thing. Goodness me.
But yeah, I really like that scene, and I like that opening, and that kind of tone it then set for the film. And I think, you know, again, it's not a criticism because it's not the film's fault. It's very much my problem. But the thing I then found was after that, it was okay, we're watching a spy on the run. We're watching Bourne. And I was just finding it really hard for me to separate from the films I've seen since, which are clearly taking a lot of stuff from these. It's a very strange position to be in.
Being disavowed is one of Tom Cruise's main skill sets in this series.
I've worked that out already.
Happens a lot of times.
But that's fine. I'm okay with that.
But at which point I feel that's more on the IMF for just rehiring him.
Mm-hmm.
At that point. Like, when this is the 6th time he's been disavowed on a big enough adventure to grant a movie, you've got to assume there's missions in the middle.
It was also, why isn't there a point where they just go, hang on, this happens a lot. He's still a good guy.
Shall we just assume he is on our side until the moment he shoots the president? Shall we just assume he's on our side?
Because I feel like at this point he's already proven himself. He's already proven that, okay, we got it wrong about you, Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like anything going forward, it should be a case of like we give him the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what happened last time, IMF?
Yeah.
We let him go. We thought it was him. We spent all our time and money and resources chasing this man. He helped us all along.
Shall we just stop doing that and put the money in?
The Bourne movies has the same problem. Like he proves himself a couple of times that he's leaving them alone and he's not going to cause them any issues, and they continue to chase him. And it's like you've worked this out.
Leave him alone.
And also, like he clearly is better than your team. He keeps murdering everyone. Just leave him alone.
Yeah, it's all of these things. It's like trying to catch Bourne and trying to catch Ethan. You're just like what? Would you try? If in real life you had the secret police or a special force or whatever, where you had your top dog that you assume for whatever reason that he's gone AWOL and he's running amok, would you bother? if you know categorically he's better than everyone. Everyone.
Yeah. Well, like, just, just leave him be. Let him do his thing.
Hannah says, was he actually ever disavowed? He ran off out of an aquarium, but I thought the disavowing was denying he existed if he was caught. He says the line, "I've been disavowed."
He does
in this
say that.
movie, and in every other movie he gets disavowed. Quite
future spoilers. Oh, sorry.
I mean, you've seen this one.
I've seen. Yeah. Okay.
So
So have I seen them all?
Largely, just the stunts are different. And one thing that's very strange about Mission Impossible, not an actual spoiler, but it's just how rapidly and inexplicably the team changes between movies. Other than, let's talk about some of the characters. Actually, what did you think of?
We've never done this. We've planned this since the first time we've been doing a MIT1 this year. We do a characters section.
Yeah, to be fair, largely of what we've been watching, the characters have been the same ones all through.
Yeah.
So this is one where it can actually work. We can talk about
Yeah.
development of the core ones and then the new ones that come in. Obviously, so we had the original team. Not much to be said there.
They're not in it very long.
No. You had the boss man that thought he was the mole. Bland man in suit.
Yes.
John Voight, I'd say, is a particularly...
Well, John Voight was John Voight.
Yes. He was voighting all about the place, really, wasn't he?
Yes. He's the same in every film I've seen him in. He's the same. He was just, this is John Voight.
Yeah, same with Jean Rousseau, Frenchman.
But
he was the same as everything.
I find he's quite enjoyable to watch.
I do like him, yeah.
What I need to figure out what it is. I've seen him in many things, but I'm trying to work out
He's in quite a lot.
one is that's standing out to me.
But the main character I want to talk about is Luther.
Which one was Luther? Remind me.
The only other one? The big ball?
Yep.
Computer guy!
Yep.
Anything by Luke Besson, yeah, pretty much.
I'm just going to have a quick look through IMDb and see what John Reno is in. It's just
You're
annoying
going to
me.
have to jump back quite far, to be fair. He hasn't appeared in anything of note for some time.
Yeah, but how do I know the era of the thing that I've seen him in? This is my issue. I've seen him in I've seen him in a lot of things.
Hannah noticed. I don't know why.
I noticed, I just wasn't going to say it because you were trying not to. Let's have a look. So, nothing here that's jumping out as me as going, yeah, I've seen him in that. I mean, I have, but it's not what I'm thinking of. There will definitely be one where I go, yes, that's the film I'm picturing in my head. But I'm now in 2014 and I'm not there yet.
That's because you're in 2014. Most of his films came out in the 90s.
Yeah, I've scrolled through all that.
Oh, so you started at the bottom. No, you're here.
I'm starting at 1978.
That's probably a bit too far.
No.
This is the bit where Kristian just scrolls through.
You continue talking about characters.
Well, I need your response.
Oh, Luther,
Yes.
I didn't feel like he was ever in it enough or doing anything particularly interesting enough to form much of an opinion on him, personally.
That's fair.
Is he a continued character going forward?
Yes. Luther is pretty much... Leon is a great movie. I have seen Leon.
I know what it is. I remember him from. And you're not going to believe what film it is that I remember him from.
Madagascar, I don't know.
Godzilla with Matthew Broderick.
Is he in that?
Yep.
Ah, I didn't know that.
So, yep, I remember that now because I watched that all the time when I was a kid. Hank Azaria also in that film.
Yeah. No, I like Luther. He's one of the recurring members of the team.
Okay, cool. I'm sure I'll grow to enjoy him more as time goes on. I just don't think he did anything particularly interesting.
No, that's fair. I mean, this was
from a character
Tom
point
Cruise.
of view. Tom Cruise was, and it's Tom Cruise being quintessential.
This is the
Tom
movie
Cruise
where
in a
he
way.
had the faces.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Literally that face. You preferred Matthew Broderick's Godzilla to the 2014 one. Now, don't get me wrong. 2014 Godzilla is not a fantastic movie, but that one is just the worst. Yes.
I also think it is a much better movie than the 20.
Oh my god, that's just so objectively wrong.
I mean, I've not seen it since I was like 12. Maybe we should make this an ad hoc admit one we do at some point. To judge again, because I remember really enjoying that film. Hank Azaria's in it. He says some funny things.
It is bad.
Hey, you're ruining my childhood now, Jack. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, Ethan Hunt as a character, I was really interested in. I thought he was really good. I liked watching Tom Cruise anyway. Tom Cruise is a very enjoyable
Tom Cruise
person
is
to
one of
watch.
those actors to me where he gets a lot of shit, and I know why some of the shit he gets.
Does he get a lot of shit?
Yeah.
I mean, he gets a lot of jokes about it being short.
No, a lot of people don't like him as an actor. They don't like his movies because he's a Scientologist.
I can very much look past that, and I feel like
Me too. That's why I'm just like, it's like he gets a lot of shit for being a Scientologist, so that no one actually then bothers.
I think
judging his work for its work.
Yeah, I think he's a very good actor. This film,
Me too,
isn't the example of his best acting because
no, of course not. There's things like Rayman or Interview with the Vampire and all that sort of stuff.
But this is a good example of his good action skills and stuff. Like, I think he's very good in this. I'm sure he will get even better as films go on. I've seen the opening sequence of whichever one it is where he's hanging off a cliff edge.
It's two.
I've seen that sequence before. I've seen him in some great stuff. I remember, strangely, for me, one of my standout Tom Cruise performances is Rock of Ages.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine acting and somebody else singing, but yeah.
It's him singing.
Is it?
It's him singing. There's a whole thing about it's him singing. Like, he learned.
I was reading a lot of stuff when that movie came out about how it was none of them, essentially. None of the cast actually doing any of it.
They make the guy, him and the girl were singing. He learned to sing for it, and he insisted on singing. And then Julian Howe is a singer anyway.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, given Tom Cruise's habits when it comes to movies.
Yeah, no, the rest of the cast was not them. I think it's like.
But then again, I also read a load of stuff about how it wasn't Zac Efron singing in High School Musical either. But then Greatest Showman came out, and I was like, unless they happen to find.
I know the High School Musical thing. I know what the actual situation is there. So he sings part of the stuff in the first film, but the songs were written before he was cast, and some of the songs he just were not in his range. So some of the songs are not by him, some are, but he sings all the rest in the other High School Musical movies. It's only the first one. Because then in the rest of them, they go, right, you can't sing some of these notes, so we're going to write them in a range suitable for you.
That's fair. They write them for him. Yeah, fair enough.
That's the High School Musical one. And then, the...
Greatest Showman. I was like, this is conveniently the same voice. So...
Yeah, I think it is just Breaking Free is the only song he doesn't sing on, which I know is the main one of High School Musical. But
I was going to say it's a pretty substantial one to not sing. But fair. This happens all the time.
But yeah, I think Tom Cruise is really good. Rock of Ages. It's great fun. And,
sorry. For some reason, Robot says The Mummy was a terrible, horrible, downright heinous mistake. Given we're talking about Mission Impossible, it took me too long to figure out you were talking about the Tom Cruise one. I thought you just meant The Mummy, like the original Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and I was about to kick off.
Have you seen Brendan Fraser nowadays?
Well, it depends. He's kind of in this weird... You just mean that he's a bit of a plump chap?
I mean, he looks... I don't understand how
he's balding.
Yeah, he just looks...
I mean, he's had a rough... a few years.
I appreciate that, but when you find him in his prime,
when you look at that photo next to George of the Jungle,
yeah,
you do think no one's safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
bless him, poor man.
He has had a rough go of it, but I'm glad to see he's on the up and up again.
Absolutely,
because I very much enjoy him. One of the many things to go wrong was injuring himself on The Mummy. He also injured himself like 2 other times. He had the back surgery, he had then knee surgery and surgery on his vocal cords as well. He was then like
Hannah. I'm going to bring this up for a reason. So Hannah says, also, I'm significantly fatter than I was in the late 90s. Now, my point about Brendan Fraser is, as I say, he was George of the fucking jungle.
He wasn't just skinny. He was he was jacked.
he was jacked and a good-looking man.
It was just generally...
like a specimen. Like a real, like... Yeah, he was a dude.
Yeah, with 90s Brendan Fraser, you become that guy in the Apple store in Winter Soldier, just going, specimen.
Yes. Absolutely.
That was a very niche reference.
Oh,
Welcome to Admit One.
I got it.
I love him in School Ties, highly underrated role. Can't say I've seen it. I have seen Bedazzled, though. Was it Bedazzled?
Yeah. No, that's...
Bedazzled? The one with the devil?
Yeah, one with the devil. Bedazzled, yeah. Elizabeth Hurley's in it as well.
Yes. I like that movie. And obviously The Mummy. The Mummy is...
Looney Tunes back in action.
The failed attempt at recreating Space Jam.
Which, ironically, is also Space Jam.
What?
Because there's a new Space Jam.
Oh,
which has been a failed
this is
attempt.
a failed attempt. Yes, but anyway, Mission Impossible. Bedazzled was great. Can we just have a Brendan Fraser marathon on that one?
Yep, we can do that.
Although I imagine a lot of these movies now, George of the Jungle specifically, I think would be a...
Problematic.
No, just a harder watch, because obviously
Maybe.
we were children when we watched it. We were who it was aimed for.
Yeah.
We're nearing 30 now.
I feel like the first George of the Jungle might be okay. I vaguely remember there being a lot of clever jokes in that, a lot of like subtle jokes for adults and things. But, yeah.
I don't, because I was a child.
Yeah, fair enough. The second one though, that will be a
well,
tough
they
watch,
replaced Brendan Fraser.
because that was a tough watch when I was a child. So I imagine even more so now.
Yes. No. Any movie where they put a 2 on the end and replace the lead actor is probably a bit pish. I think is a safe rule of thumb.
I do enjoy, though. I remember at the beginning of the second George of the Jungle, the narrator's like, "Mate, you're not George," and the guy says, "It's like, yeah, they couldn't afford Brendan Fraser." It's literally a line in the film.
Okay,
I appreciate that.
It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Man line. Yeah. Yes, I quite like that. I think that was also Fox.
Yeah, probably.
They like talking about how much money they have but can't be bothered to spend. They're having a conversation about Brendan Fraser now. I've lost half the conversation.
We started this. It's our own fault.
Yes. No, that's absolutely fine.
We opened the rabbit hole and they delved down it.
That's fine. That's what this channel's all about. Chat away about all things magical Brendan Fraser. But that's absolutely. And he's having a comeback. Doom Patrol. He's in a new movie called Whale as well. Maybe because he's playing a 600-pound man in Whale, so maybe that's what he's prepping for.
Maybe.
Although I think you would die before you get to 600 pounds, so maybe
Jonah Hill on it.
I don't think he was anywhere close to 600 pounds.
No. Jonah Hill famously bulks out and starves himself to get himself right for different roles. He's done it for a few things.
Yeah, Christian Bale does it as well.
That's where I was going for.
Christian Bale does it quite a lot. What I want,
Hugh Jackman as well.
Yeah,
Starved
he tends
himself
to
for
get,
Les Mis.
Yeah, and then he just gets hedged. But what I want to talk about Christian Bale quickly. Have you seen The Machinist, or have you seen what he looks like in The Machinist?
The Machinist. I don't think I have.
So anyone who hasn't seen The Machinist, just Google Christian Bale Machinist, so that this has the ultimate weight to it. This is what he looked like in The Machinist.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen him as that.
This was about 6 months before Batman Begins.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Steroids.
Yes. Like, normally I could be like, not every superhero actor is going to be taking steroids. In this particular scenario, I think that was all he consumed. He often had ham and steroid sandwiches, maybe some cereal, but
it's my favourite type of sandwich.
He just replaced the milk in his shreddies with liquid testosterone, and just.
I wondered what you were going to say there. Should we continue with Mission Impossible?
There's not a huge amount left to say.
No.
I mean, there was some wonky 90s CGI.
There was some wonky
fluff.
90s CGI. I didn't really think much into it because it was like 90s.
Yes.
The two that stood out to me though was
Shoes are squeaking.
the aerial shot of the train
It was a bit.
was clearly like a Hornby model train superimposed on another helicopter shot.
Yep.
And there was the explosion of the helicopter at the end when he then flew towards the camera and towards the
Yes.
train was clearly imposed on each other. You could see that quite.
Weirdly, one of the best uses of wind, like physical wind. Normally, it just looks like someone standing in front of a fan, but I think that worked quite well.
No, it was good. It was good. The action sequence of them climbing on the train looked fairly good.
Well, that would be because they were in those scenarios. They were obviously physically on something. Obviously, the moving background that works well because obviously it's just something whipping by.
Yeah.
When that happens, it never looks quite right anyway. Well, there you go. We're learning things.
There you
Use a skydiving tunnel. That'd be why it looked all right because it was, a very large fan.
Yeah.
But the helicopter did look a bit wonky. But again, it's the 90s.
Yeah,
Some of the Matrix looks a bit wonky now.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So
The sequels even more so in the Matrix.
that's because pretty much none of it was practical, whereas pretty much all of the first one was.
But yeah, it was cool. The blade coming to a halt still gets me. Great scenes. There's logical robot. Again, another thing is kind of a cliche gag now, but I'll let it go.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, especially as they try to do it twice.
I did enjoy where like you've got that shot and it's like the camera is looking down the blade at his throat, and then you just see the driver of the train or the guy from the train just pop up at the window
and then collapse again.
That was very amusing.
Shit, what was I going to say? What were we talking about before that?
Mission Impossible. George of the Jungle.
No. Imminent, like seconds ago, before the blade. The helicopter.
Wind, train. That was all we spoke about.
But I can't. It's not triggering the same thing. That's very upsetting. Train, the blade.
CGI? Was it the CGI?
Wesley Snipes.
I feel like Jack's thought has escaped him. This might be the end of this.
Move on. We can, if I come back to it, well,
Well, there you
if
go.
it triggers something, we'll
Well,
come back to it.
I'm looking forward to watching the next one.
I wouldn't too much.
Well, I'm looking forward just to continue to watch them and see where it goes, see how it builds, see how the action improves and all that kind of stuff. The filmmaking improves, etc. As I said, there are a few bits I thought were really good. There was a few bits of good cinematography here and there. It was a nice watch in that sense. I was never bored watching it either. Like I think it kept the pace going through for the most part fairly well. There was a few points where it kind of like not the pace but the tone dropped, for lack of a bit. I can't work out a way of phrasing this. Like it went from being quite high octane to sort of calmer but the film kept flowing, which I think is quite difficult to do. So I applaud it on that. But I would say I wasn't as interested in the bits where they were just sitting down and talking. It was just like,
To be fair, they do get a lot more inventive with those scenes because this is a franchise that kind of needs those scenes. They do get more inventive.
and that was
with
the
those.
thing. Like you could see that it was important for those things to be there and those conversations to be taking place. But it was kind of like, I guess it's that want for that to be a little bit more interesting to watch than just two people sitting in front of each other exchanging words. You want to see a bit more than that.
It's scrolled away now, but Hannah says talking about Mission Impossible seems to have perked me up. Believe me, I'm in host mode. Kristian's about to witness me just collapse because all my energy has just been expended talking about Cruise. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of these movies because A, I love them. And B, well, annoyingly, I went on to, because I used Apple TV to rent this, because when we looked and we saw Amazon was $1.59, I realised that was standard definition.
Yes, I learned that today when I paid £3.49.
Yes, I paid £3.49 because of that. And yeah, the standard definition got a swift go fuck yourself response from me yesterday. So I just did it on Apple TV, is where I rent most of my stuff. But then I realised I can get the entire collection 4K on there for 40 quid cheaper than I can get the actual discs. And I was like,
wow. Are you going to do that?
Probably. Just because I like having them.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I can watch them everywhere forever then, until Apple TV shuts down and I lose everything I've paid for. But that's neither here nor there.
That's the risk of digital purchases.
That is the risk of digital
purchases.
It's the risk of digital purchases. There we go. Got there in the end. I think that's it. I think this is a good movie. It sets a lot up for where the series is going to go. I'll get into the specifics of why the second one is an exception next week. But I think this was a very good stepping stone, particularly for 96, of what we end up getting in Rogue Nation, shit title, and Fallout, less shit title. I
agree. Do you want me to do the wrapping up spiel, or are we going to leave it with you?
You.
This has been Admit 1, your bi-weekly?
No, I hate that word because it can mean...
It can mean either, because the English language is dumb. So we'll call it the obnoxiously regular movie and TV podcast.
Or your movie and TV.
Just your movie and TV podcast. Twice weekly. I mean, the problem is that it changes so regularly now. I don't know anymore.
Well, the point is for that not to happen.
Right here on Rabbit Hole Media. If you liked what you've been doing, or what you've been doing is watching us, you can follow us on Twitter at rabbithole_UK. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can see us anytime that you wish. You can follow us on Twitch at Rabbit Hole Media, and you can subscribe and follow on multiple different podcast services on and around the internet.
Indeed.
And now you can follow us on Instagram at rabbitholemedia_UK for all of the behind the scenes chits and bits. If you would like to support us, you can head to merch.rabbitholemedia.co.uk, where you can buy a wide range of merchandise, which recently got wider. And finally, if you are watching us live on Twitch and are an Amazon Prime member, you get one free Twitch Prime membership a month. Please find it within your hearts to give the free membership to us. It will not cost you a penny, but it goes a very long way in helping us bring you the shows you love. Going forward this week, Saturday evening, 8 p.m, Admit 1 returns for Marvel's What If Episode 2. That will be you and Rich this week.
I believe that is correct.
So make sure to tune into that. And then directly after Admit 1 on Saturday will be Press Start, episode 150. I told you there'll be something happening. Currently, there's still nothing happening. But maybe I'll think of something. Ideally, I'd like you all just to send us cake.
I mean, I'll take it. You say nothing's happening and that you'd need to think of something. You've thought of something.
Well, I thought of something. I've been trying to email guests, but so far none has replied. So...
Yes. Well, of course we'll have Rich on the show as well, but...
yeah, but I'm, industry guests.
No, I wasn't... He put me in the chat.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Not... Rich isn't a guest, he's a host.
Yes.
Sorry, that laugh hurt me. But that one didn't, though.
Oh, dear.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend because I won't be dead.
Little thing at the end here. Logical Robert says, for fun, everyone lists the last two movies they purchased. I rebought Classic Event Horizon and also picked up Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, which is fun as hell.
Last two movies I purchased.
I don't buy movies very often. I believe Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home are probably the last two movies I purchased.
Digitally was probably Hobbs and Shaw, purely because it was like £1 cheaper to buy it than rent it at that particular time. So it would have been dumb. Oh, and Blade. I bought Blade as well.
See, I very rarely buy films. I buy films that I want to keep and watch over and over again. Because most films I'll probably only watch it once. Otherwise, I'll wait for them to be on one of the many, many streaming services I pay for, or I will rent them as and when I need to watch it.
Yeah, no, I usually rent. There are particular franchises that I like to have.
The same, yeah. Hence why the last 2 films I'm pretty sure I bought were both Marvel films.
Yeah, I like to have the MCU. I like to have Fast and Furious. I would like to have these. I will accept digitally though. The last physical one I bought as well was Fury Road in 4K. That was the last disc I bought. Largely just because, like, I'm a snob, all right? They will be 4K or they will not be purchased by me. So,
this is fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair, but obviously to a lot of people that's snobby because that makes it... Some people still buy DVDs, so it makes it like £20 more than I need to... Or £15 more than what they have to spend. Or for normal Blu-ray, it's a tenner more just for the pixels.
I think anyone that thinks you're snobby for wanting to buy a film in the best quality possible is just jealous they can't afford to.
Can't afford to or don't care. There's a lot of people that don't.
If they think you're snobby about it, though.
That's true.
Like...
That implies they care.
That implies they care. Yeah. That's kind of my thinking. So there you go. There you go.
Fair. That was fun thinking about the movies we've bought. I think the next 2 I'm going to be buying, though, are Fast 9 and Black Widow, because they'll be the next 2 to be released.
Hey, yeah, they say so. Hannah's saying, to be fair, we didn't have a 4K player into the PS5. I'm not saying it's a problem if you don't want to buy in 4K. I'm just saying if you think someone else buying something in 4K is snobbery, look inward.
But now you can.
You can be a snob now.
You can be a snob now. You can buy it all. To be fair, I think the main snobbery bits came from the fact that I rebought everything.
I personally don't see a problem with that either. You've spent money on a 4K TV and 4K player. You want to be able to watch things in the best way possible.
Honestly, I worked out. I've forgotten the number, but I worked out how much I spent on owning cinema aside on the MCU, because I bought up until the first Avengers on DVD. Then Blu-ray started happening. So I rebought up until the Avengers on Blu-ray and bought all the way up till Thor Ragnarok on Blu-ray. And then I rebought all of that and then up until Far From Home in 4K. That's a lot of pennies.
It is, and I'm proud of you. Thank you all for watching. And of course, until next time, we shall see you then.
Thank you. I shall use your chats to heal.